Lucy and Joshua are co-workers and each other's greatest nemesis. Their company was originally two separate publishing houses, Gammon Publishing and Bexley Books, until financial struggles forced a merger a year ago. Lucy is from Gammon, while Joshua came from Bexley. In the office, Lucy updates her boss, Helen, about a project. While heading to the boardroom, she encounters Julie, a coworker who frequently asks her for favors. Julie begs Lucy to cover for her in some capacity, and though Lucy is reluctant, she agrees. At the board meeting, Richard, the owner of Bexley, and Helen announce a new managing director position to oversee all departments. An independent panel will select finalists, who will present to the board after the new year. Afterward, Lucy and Joshua feel confident about getting the job. Lucy suggests a deal. Whoever gets hired, the other quits. Joshua agrees, sure he'll win. At the office, Danny, a designer with a crush on Lucy, gives her the latest book. She dislikes the cover Richard made them design. He also hands her a package, guessing it's another tiny Smurf figurine. Joshua is surprised by this and teases Lucy about her Smurf collection. Moments later, she notices him marking his jotter, and though her curiosity is piqued, she hides it well. Joshua, meanwhile, watches her apply red lipstick as usual, but quickly looks away when she catches him staring. Looks like this hating game between them is turning into something else. At the end of the workday, Lucy and Joshua exchange their usual banter while heading to the elevator. Jeanette, who's in charge of HR, joins them and is immediately stressed by their antics. Back home, Lucy gets a call from her mom, who worries about her being alone without a man. She even suggests Joshua as a potential match since Lucy always talks about him, but that's definitely out of the question. Guess who has an erotic dream about her nemesis that night? Yep, Lucy. The next morning, she decides to wear a sexier outfit to work just to mess with Joshua. But her nerves get the better of her, and she stumbles in her heels, landing face first as soon as she steps into the office. Seeing her outfit, Joshua curiously asks if she has a date. Lucy, who has 0 dates, confirms she has one. He notices her jumpiness, and she admits to having an erotic dream about a coworker. Before he can press for details, they're interrupted by Helen and Richard stepping out of the elevator mid-argument before heading to their separate offices. Still suspicious about Lucy's so-called date, Joshua asks where it's happening. She teases him for being interested, but he calls her bluff. To prove him wrong, she throws out a random venue and insists her date is at 7. Joshua declares he'll be going to the exact same place at the same time, making things a lot more complicated for Lucy. Later, she visits Danny in his office space and is surprised to learn he's leaving the company in a week. However, she gets to the real reason for her visit, inviting him on a date. She's not about to lose to Joshua. Later, Lucy's curiosity gets the better of her, and she sneaks over to Joshua's desk for a peek at his jotter. Strange markings catch her attention, leaving her confused, but the sound of his approaching footsteps sends her scurrying back to her own desk. The moment he sees his swinging chair, it's obvious he knows she was snooping. Their usual banter continues as they step into the elevator, but then Joshua suddenly presses the emergency stop button. Tension thickens between them as he wonders the kind of game they're both playing. The intensity of the moment pushes Lucy over the edge, and she closes the distance, kissing him. Their passion takes over, and Joshua responds just as fiercely, pulling her in. They both snap back to reality when the intercom interrupts the moment. It seems they feel more than just hate for each other after all. Lucy eventually takes a ride with Joshua because of the heavy rain, but the atmosphere between them is thick with awkwardness. He's surprised she's actually going on a date with Danny, thinking she made it up. His remark makes Lucy snap, telling him to pull over before storming out into the rain, despite his protests. Soaked to the bone, Lucy arrives at the bar and meets Danny. However, her mood is far from right, and she excuses herself to the restroom. She bumps into Joshua, visibly displeased to see him there. But it turns out, she forgot her purse in his car, and he only came to return it. She accuses him of playing mind games with the kiss, leaving Joshua confused since it was only a mistake. Tired of the conversation, Lucy storms off. Her date with Danny turns out to be pleasant, and she learns more about him. The next Monday, Lucy receives a flower delivery with a note complimenting her beauty. She immediately thanks Danny over text, assuming he's the one behind the gesture. At work, Joshua offers a sincere apology for everything that's happened, and she agrees to put their issues aside, though in a very amusing manner. He then asks about her date, and Lucy admits Danny is a nice guy. Helen walks into the office and asks Lucy about her team-building proposal. Lucy reveals she's already submitted it, insisting the team would benefit from a book hunting trip together, but Joshua is bored by this. He's also submitted a proposal for a paintball outing. Lucy doesn't agree with it, but Helen and Richard already flipped a coin and came up with paintball. Lucy is furious and imagines strangling Joshua on the spot, but she decides to excuse herself instead. On the day of the team-building event, they all arrive at the designated location and begin preparations. Julie approaches Lucy for help, and once again, Lucy gets snowballed into accepting. Joshua watches this and teases her about her inability to say no. However, he notices she looks a little pale and suggests she sit the game out. But Lucy is having none of it. During the game, Lucy and Joshua end up in a playful squabble, both getting shot at. Unfortunately, the force of the paintball triggers Lucy's sickness, and Joshua ends up carrying her home. Upon arriving at her house, Lucy starts throwing up again, and Joshua takes her to the restroom, holding her the entire time. After leaving her to freshen up, he curiously looks around her house and comes across her presentation for the job. Noticing she's finished in the bathroom, he takes her temperature and discovers it's quite high. Urging her to relax, Joshua goes to get his brother Patrick, who's a doctor. After checking her vitals, Patrick leaves to jot down some prescriptions. He asks Joshua about his appearance at his wedding, but Joshua uses work as an excuse for not making a decision yet. Meanwhile, Lucy overhears their conversation from her room. After Patrick leaves, Joshua checks up on Lucy, and she curiously wonders if his whole family is composed of doctors. Joshua explains that they all are, but he's the only one who switched careers for medicine. While staring deeply into his eyes, Lucy admits that their time in the elevator was really hot, making the moment between them intense. Joshua can't stop staring at her, and eventually urges her to get some rest before leaving the room. The next morning, Lucy wakes up feeling better, and is surprised to find that Joshua has cleaned her apartment. She finds him in the kitchen, and instantly expresses how weird it is. Lucy playfully warns Joshua about using this against her, but it doesn't sit well with him. He grabs his coat and tells her about the prescription on her table before leaving. At work, she runs into Danny, who gifts her flowers and starts talking her ear off. He follows her to her office, where Lucy finds a rose, a note, and strawberry juice on her desk. Danny notices this too, and the moment grows awkward before he eventually leaves. Lucy is touched by the juice, as she had mentioned to Joshua the previous evening that her parents always gave it to her when she was sick. When she reads the note and recognizes the handwriting, she realizes Joshua was the one who sent the roses. Lucy tries to talk to Joshua, but a call interrupts and he heads out. Later, Helen acknowledges Lucy's application, revealing she wants her to get the job. Lucy feels unsure due to the other strong candidates, but Helen reassures her. Lucy's been with the company from the start and knows it well. Helen admits she should have promoted Lucy earlier, but Lucy never asked, and she didn't want to lose her help. Later, Lucy surprises Joshua with some strawberries to show her gratitude, but Joshua brushes it off. She offers to do something in return and suggests she could follow him to Patrick's wedding. He's surprised Lucy overheard their conversation, but she just wants to make things even between them. Joshua is confused by this, which leads Lucy to push him into a closet for privacy. The close quarters eventually spark an intimate moment, but Joshua stops it and tells her to go on a date and kiss Danny. If it's better than the kiss they shared in the elevator, then she can be with Danny. Joshua doesn't want to feel like an experiment before she settles on who she thinks is right. He decides never to touch her again until she admits that no one kisses her like he does. As planned, Lucy kisses Danny on their next date, but doesn't feel anything. She ends up at Joshua's apartment and reveals the truth to him. This sparks an intense, passionate kiss between them. He invites her inside, and Lucy is impressed by his apartment. She notices they share a guilty pleasure when she sees his miniature toy car collection. As Lucy goes through his books, Joshua reveals he attended medical school for a year. In his bedroom, Lucy wonders why he quit, but Joshua wasn't cut out for it and couldn't stand most things. The sexual tension between them becomes undeniable, and the moment turns heated, leading to a passionate kiss. Lucy proposes they take things further to get it out of their system, so they can go back to normal. However, Joshua is displeased by this and suggests Lucy head home since it's getting late, confusing her with the sudden change. She wonders if it's about the job, and Joshua uses that as an excuse, insisting it's unwise to get romantically involved. Lucy gets upset and storms out of his apartment. The next day at work, Richard introduces his friend Simon to Joshua. Lucy instantly recognizes Simon from HarperCollins, but is sidelined from the conversation. Simon knows half of the hiring panel, and Richard assures Joshua that Simon will give him a good recommendation. During the Christmas holiday, Joshua surprises Lucy with a visit, informing her that he's there to pick her up for the wedding. He can't go alone, and his parents are expecting him to bring a +1. Since she owes him, Lucy agrees and starts packing. While driving, Lucy asks about his family, and Joshua shares that his mother, Elaine, is perfect, but things are strained with his father, Anthony. He still holds a grudge over Joshua quitting medical school. They arrive at the bed and breakfast, and begin preparing for the rehearsal dinner. Lucy gets immensely distracted when Joshua steps out of the shower in just a towel, and the sexual tension between them is palpable. The moment leads to a hot and intense kiss, and they finally take things further, forgetting all about the rehearsal dinner. After spending passionate moments together, Lucy suddenly remembers the dinner, but Joshua suggests they skip it. With nothing else to do but relax, Lucy asks Joshua about the strange markings in his jotter. He explains that he marks each of her dress codes and also whenever he feels like kissing her, which makes Lucy pleasantly surprised. Joshua asks for something he doesn't know about her, and she confesses that her date with Danny was a lie, which only turned real because she asked Danny out, and that her erotic dream was about Joshua. Lucy didn't want Joshua to think she was alone, but he believes she would have been with him instead. Their sweet and romantic moment leads to a passionate kiss. The next day they arrive just in time for the wedding. Elaine greets them both, and she's as sweet as Joshua had said. The wedding ceremony is beautiful, followed by the reception. Mindy, the bride, is excited to see Lucy and reveals that she and Joshua dated for a year, but weren't compatible. Lucy is shocked by this revelation, and Mindy is surprised Joshua never mentioned it. Lucy steps outside to catch her breath, and Joshua joins her. He realizes Mindy has told her the truth, and Lucy wonders if he only brought her to the wedding to make Mindy jealous. However, that wasn't Joshua's plan at all. He just couldn't tell her because he was embarrassed. Patrick had always been the favorite child, and when Mindy left Joshua for Patrick, it crushed his self-esteem. They head back inside, and Anthony gives a speech in honor of Patrick, making it clear he's never been disappointed by Patrick's choices, which leaves Joshua feeling unsettled. Later, Anthony criticizes Joshua's career choice at their table, but Lucy quickly defends him. She firmly informs Anthony how amazing Joshua is and how he effectively runs the company, leaving Anthony speechless. The altercation puts a pause on the ceremony, and Lucy wishes the couple a happy married life before leaving with Joshua. While driving home, Josh is surprised by Lucy's defense of him and reveals that no woman has ever seen him as someone to settle down with. He admits he's never hated her and proceeds to prove it in his house. They play the starting over game, and Joshua confesses that he's in love with her. Lucy starts to freak out, fearing that a relationship would never work since they're competing for the same job, but Joshua calms her down. He reassures her that he knows her better than she thinks and starts listing the things he's learned just by observing her. Joshua tells her they can make it work, urging her to trust him. They spend the holiday break together, enjoying their newfound love. However, back at the office, things take a turn when Lucy overhears Richard asking Joshua about his strategy for getting the job. Richard smugly notes that he knew Lucy would soften if Joshua got close to her. Hurt and disappointed, Lucy leaves the office and meets Danny in the library section, venting about how foolish she feels for believing Joshua. Just then, Joshua shows up, hoping to get coffee with her, but she coldly shuts him down. Later at the office, Lucy confronts Joshua about his lies, but before he can explain, Richard interrupts. Frustrated, she declares she won't let them ruin the company and storms off. As preparations for the presentation continue, she and Joshua revert to their old rivalry. On the big day, Julie asks Lucy to help her boyfriend's niece for an internship, but this time, Lucy stands her ground. She calls Julie out on her behavior and tells her to do her job, impressing Joshua. During the presentation, Lucy delivers flawlessly, earning the panel's admiration. The decision for the position is finalized, and Lucy walks into the boardroom to find everyone congratulating Joshua. Feeling disappointed, she congratulates him, only to be shocked when he announces her as the new managing director. She is clearly confused by this, but he reveals that he accepted a position as an acquisitions editor at HarperCollins a week ago. Surprised, she asks why he never told her, and Helen explains that she asked him to keep it under wraps. Helen wanted Lucy to stay motivated, as the competition with Joshua brought out her best. Joshua, believing Lucy is the heart of the company, expresses his admiration and love, leading to a passionate kiss between them, met with cheers from everyone. Lucy thrives in her new role, and her relationship with Joshua flourishes. The hating game has officially become the loving game.